The clock on the wall of my Manhattan loft struck midnight, but sleep was the last thing on my mind. The air in the studio was thick, heavy with the scent of turpentine, expensive oil paints, and a lingering memory of him. His name was Julian, a man who moved like a predator and spoke like a poet. He was my muse, my obsession, and the one person I could never truly have. I stood before the giant canvas, wearing nothing but one of his oversized white button-down shirts. The fabric was crisp against my skin, a constant reminder of the night he left it behind. I could still feel the phantom touch of his fingers against my waist, a sensation that sent a slow, rhythmic heat through my veins. "Focus, Elena," I whispered to the empty room. I dipped my brush into the deep crimson paint, the color of passion, the color of the wine we shared the night everything changed. My heart hammered against my ribs as I began to stroke the brush across the canvas. Every movement felt like a caress. I wasn't just painting a man, I was painting the way he made me feel. The electricity of his breath against my neck, the way his eyes darkened when he looked at me, and the tension that always felt like a wire stretched too thin. The memory of the storm. I closed my eyes for a second, and I was back in the elevator with him. The power had gone out. It was just the two of us in the suffocating darkness. I remembered the sound of his breathing, heavy and ragged. In the silence, every sense was heightened. I felt him move closer until the heat from his body radiated against mine. He didn't touch me, not at first. He just leaned in, his lips hovering inches from my ear. "You're playing with fire, Elena," he had rasped, his voice vibrating through my entire body. "And the thing about fire is, it doesn't just warm you, it consumes you." In the studio, the memory made my breath hitch. I opened my eyes and looked at the painting. It was becoming him, the sharp line of his jaw, the intensity in his gaze. I felt a bead of sweat trickle down my spine. The room felt 10 degrees hotter. A dangerous dance. I moved with a sudden restless energy. I threw aside the brush and began to use my fingers, spreading the thick paint directly onto the canvas. It was messy, it was raw, it was exactly how I felt whenever he was near. There was a fine line between art and desire, and tonight I was crossing it. I could almost feel his hands over mine, guiding the strokes, his chest pressed against my back. The isolation of the loft made the fantasy feel dangerously real. The USA loves a story of forbidden longing, and as I worked into the early hours of the morning, I knew this was my best work. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. It held the secrets I could never say out loud. I stepped back, breathless and exhausted, the white shirt now stained with streaks of red and gold. The masterpiece was finished. He was there, trapped in the paint, looking at me with that same hungry intensity. "Your move, Julian," I breathed, looking at the city lights through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I knew he wasn't there, but the air still felt charged, as if the very walls of the room were blushing. The rain began to lash against the glass windows of the Manhattan loft, mirroring the chaos I felt inside. I was standing in front of the finished portrait, my skin still tingling from the creative fever. The shirt, his shirt, clung to me, damp from the humidity of the rainy night. Then, through the sound of the storm, I heard it. A heavy, rhythmic knock on the heavy oak door. My heart didn't just beat, it thundered. I didn't have to check the peephole. I knew the weight of that knock. I knew the silence that followed it. I opened the door, and there he was, Julian. He was drenched. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, and his leather jacket was slick with rain. But it was his eyes that caught me. They were dark, intense, and fixed on mine with a hunger that made the air between us vanish. The unspoken language. "You left your shirt," he said, his voice a low, gravelly vibration that seemed to echo in the pit of my stomach. I stepped back, allowing him into the warm, dimly lit studio. The smell of rain and his signature sandalwood scent immediately took over the room. I leaned against the edge of my workbench, trying to maintain my composure, but the way he looked at me, scanning the paint on my fingers, the messy hair and his shirt on my shoulders, made it impossible to breathe. "I thought you weren't coming back," I whispered. He moved toward me, slow and deliberate, like a predator who had finally found what he was looking for. He stopped just inches away. I could feel the cold dampness of his jacket and the searing heat of his skin. The contrast was intoxicating. "You're dangerous, Elena. Whatever this is between us, it's going to destroy everything." "Maybe some things need to be destroyed, to be rebuilt," my voice trembling with a boldness I didn't know I had. He let out a low groan, a sound of pure, unadulterated longing. He didn't kiss me, not yet. He just stood there in the dark, his hands hovering over my waist. The proximity was so intense that it felt more intimate than a touch. It was a dance of shadows and desire. In that moment, the rest of the world, the art critics, the deadlines, the noise of New York ceased to exist. There was only the rain, the darkness, and the electric pull of a man who was as much a part of me as the blood in my veins.